Hey everybody, welcome back to A Messy Shop. My name's Craig and this is my very messy shop. I guess we'll do a bit of a shop update. Not much new in terms of how things have been going with the shop. I've had to replace a couple of parts, a couple of small bearings on the CNC. I'm assuming a lot of that's from use, but probably could have been a faulty part because only really one bearing basically fell apart on one of them. So I you know, out of paranoia, I bought enough replacements for the whole thing. That way, if it does happen again, I won't have to take it out of service. What else? The dust collection on the CNC, I've actually upgraded to the Juanita Cyclone. I haven't actually used it since I put it on. I guess remains to say if it'll be better or worse. I'm assuming it'll be better. Just I found that I've been using a dust bag in my vacuum. I find, you know, you usually get better performance, but also at the same time, I think with better performance is the that kind of $20 Cyclone top bucket cover I had wasn't really doing the job. It was actually enough power that it was just pulling it past the Cyclone. So other than that, I've been really focusing on keeping stock for these sales. So the great thing is selling stuff, the pressure that adds is that you then have to refill that stock with more stock. I had one large sale, it was 3 days, and then I had 2 weeks until the next sale. So basically those 2 weeks ended up becoming really focused on trying to get stuff done to fill the next sale. I had some custom orders come in, so trying to kind of get those in a place where they're started and can kind of work away a little bit. I finished one of those orders last night. I've got another sale this weekend, so again, just trying to fill stock. You get people asking for stuff specifically. I try to, you know, fill as many requests as I can. Try to keep everybody happy. Anyway, normally I wouldn't even do a video just with everything going on. However, it's a new tool day, and we all love new tool day. And I can't, you know, I want to make a video on the tool, and I don't really want to use a tool until I make a video, so I end up in this predicament of like, I've got to do a video because I really want to try this tool out. So, and I don't want to, you know, miss the opportunity because I know myself enough. If I probably don't do a video from the get-go, it probably won't get done, and then the tool will end up just being getting mixed into the shop, and that'll be it. So new tool day. So it was delivered today. I would usually call this an unboxing, but I actually had to take some of the stuff out of the boxes, and some weren't technically in boxes, so it's kind of that mixture. But anyway, so here is the new tool. So this is the new tool days. I finally broke down and got a commercial grade sander, which I find that, you know, sanding has become, it feels like 80% of the job that I do. Maybe it's not 80%, but man, it really does feel like 80% most days. And I've been doing it with, you know, a $30 Ryobi Home Depot sander till that burnt. And I think I'm using a $70 Bosch one now, which, you know, it's fine and hooked up basically to my dust collection system. And I usually use, honestly, the cheapest sandpaper I can find. So it's like, you know, either stuff I find on clearance or stuff from Busy Bee. It's pretty terrible sandpaper, let's be honest. Basically, these things are, I apologize that I'm not in frame, but, you know, focusing on the table. So you get this sweet ass box, which I know is silly, but I've never had any kind of like pro level grade stuff. So for me, this is a new thing. I don't own any Festool or anything, but hey, look at that. It looks like a Festool box, and that's pretty sweet. So we first off, you know, we get the sweet little box, which again, very new to me. Crack that fell open. These are pad savers that come in the kit. I believe these come in the kit. Now Kevin may have thrown these in, but I'm sure you at least get one in the kit. I've actually, the last sander I had to replace for this exact reason was that eventually the Velcro itself started to give way just from wear and tear. So the difference with the Mirka is you're actually putting a pad in between the Velcro on the, here on it. And there's a pad in between. So the pad, once it wears out, they're cheaper. You can replace the pad instead of have to actually swap it out on the tool side. So in there, of course, is the sander. If something ever happened where you did actually need to go, oops, these guys all stuck together here. If you had to actually replace the sanding pad itself, there is a wrench inside the box, which you can actually go in here and actually take that part off, take the pad off and replace it. There is some sample sandpaper, which is great, which is the Abernet stuff. Some 240, 180. This is the regular Abernet stuff. I actually changed mine over to the Abernet Ace for some bigger packs of sandpaper. Just it's a ceramic sandpaper, so it should be a little better for hardwoods, which really, I mean, I do a little bit of stuff with softwoods, but it's pretty much for me 95% hardwood. I apologize for the plastic bag noise. We've got a power cable, which again, there's a little string I can cut. And an instruction manual and some issues on the warranty, which is a 3-year warranty, which is pretty great. There's quite a bit to this. I still have yet to read through everything. I know that there's ways that you can like balance. You can go in and actually change the balancing on this, and there's a lot of stuff you can do. Maybe we can just hook the power cord up for now so we can at least see it lit up. I'm gonna reach over. Ouchie, that's a tough elastic on that guy. You just unplug here, guys. I apologize for the view. All right. It's exciting just to power this up. I've been waiting for this moment. Yeah, so the way this one works is you basically power up. I think you see, hopefully you see the green light here. You power it up, and then it's, as soon as you touch the paddle, it's variable speed. And then beyond that, you can actually adjust the speeds here. Crazy. So here's a little head-on view. Ooh, that's nice. There's a break. If you can watch the when I actually let off the paddle, you hear that little poop at the end there. It actually stops it from spinning, which is really cool. It's funny because you know how often you spend time waiting for your sander to stop spinning so you can actually set it down. Very cool. All right, so at least we got to see what that does powered up. Now, in talking with Kevin when he delivered this, one piece of advice he'd give me was to not run it full blast, just because you go through paper faster. I'm assuming, you know, heat and so on. That's actually great advice. So I will definitely turn it down a little bit from the full speed. So yeah, there's that guy. Take those pads back in. Now, because I got the sander along with it, or sorry, I got the vacuum along with it. The vacuum hose and this cable actually get paired together and they get put inside of a sleeve. And then the power cable actually will plug into the vacuum instead of it the other way. So let me move this box out of the way and we'll get the vacuum up here so we can get a look at this. Hang tight. All right, vacuum. So here is the Mirka vacuum. Now, I should probably know the model numbers and stuff like that, but you know, I'm just not that not that much of a planner, obviously. And you know, maybe I'll put in the description what these are. They only make, I think, the one vacuum, so it should be pretty easy to figure it out. Yeah, so here we are. This is the Mirka HEPA vacuum. Obviously, inlet hose goes in here. The sander plugs in here. And then you can actually set it up to run as a sander, which, you know, so it'll turn on whenever that you actually power up the sander. Or you can have it so it just, you know, turns on like a regular vacuum. I'll turn over here a little bit. There's a HEPA filter in here. Now, normally it comes with this foam block that goes into this. I shouldn't say this isn't the HEPA filter, this is the exhaust. Kevin swapped this out for a better filter, which was super nice, which is why I had to unbox it ahead of time, which is super cool. We've also got in the back here, we've got the cable for it, power cable, the AC cable. And we can pop this guy open here, can get it to open. There we go. So there's the actual HEPA filter here in back, which is very nice. So this has one of those push to clean functions. So when the actual vacuum is running, you can basically block the hose see if I can turn this so you can see. And there's a button up here, so there's little instructions on the side. So you basically put your hand in front of the other end, the suction end, press this, and it basically cleans off that filter. And puts that, and kind of like uses the suction that you've already got going on to blow out the filter and clean it off, and then put it in the bag, which is awesome. So you're not taking that out and knocking it off. Inside, these are all vacuum bag vacuums, so there is no like you know, old school where you just kind of dump it out like the other shop vacs I have. So inside is a big fabric bag. I think, pretty sure, I mean the bags aren't cheap. I think, I'm trying to think when I looked them up, I think it was about $100 for 5. For me, I'm going to be using this really just for sanding. I can't imagine me filling bags super quickly if it's just sanding dust. I'm not going to use it to clean up the shop. I'm not going to use it around the lathe or even the CNC, which would be typically, you know, huge dust guys in comparison, for more like wood chip that fill up a vacuum. Yeah, so that is the HEPA vacuum. So this is probably the most expensive piece. Now there's clips, there's a kit here with clips. I'm going to dig those out that go on top here. There's clips that go on top of that. I'll have to find them and get the instructions. And then that box will actually mount on top. So you can, if you were going somewhere and wanted to have the kits all combined. I don't know, I got to check it out. I'd kind of like this to fit under this bench. And if it doesn't fit under the bench with the toolbox on top, then I'm going to leave the toolbox off. Because obviously, you know, as for most of us, space is more important in a shop. Yeah, so let me dig the hose out and we'll start kind of looking at that stuff. All right, so we've got the box attachment kit, which is, I love it, says, all it says is air box on it, which is very vague. Oh, here we go. Toolbox adapter plate. I guess use the same box for a couple different things. Yeah, so we're going to check out our instructions here. We got to take a couple of screws off. So let's get those out. These are like star head screws, which I got to be honest, I think it's the first time I've ever used these screwdrivers. I don't think I've ever had anything that used these screws. Kind of funny, you know, having a screwdriver set and you keep, you know, you're like, oh, I don't ever use those things for anything. And here we are. And after all this time, now I probably have a multi-bit somewhere that has many of these, but wow, these are really long screws. Like, check that out. You'd think it was like trying to hold a TV up or something here. I guess it is the handle, but it's pretty heavy duty for one handle. Okay, so these guys, -2. Gravy. And the handle comes out. I don't know if there's a special thing in the back I'm missing. I don't believe so. I don't know, it doesn't really seem like it's going to pop off easily. I guess we have to take this back clip off too. Turn it around here. Maybe these secretly hold that on. We're gonna find out. Oh, or the whole cover comes off. It's likely what it is. I'm guessing that little guy is coming off too then, if that's the case. Hope there's a replacement to those plastic clips. So those guys out. Let's take this out for good measure as well. Yeah, that is the case. Okay, so that comes off completely. Interesting. Oh, neat. You can actually see the switch. Okay, so does the handle come off easier now? Still doesn't really. Oh, I guess the handle stays on. Is that the case? So we got to. All right, we got the cover back on the back. Set this cord a little bit aside here. So there is 2 panels which are already getting covered in dust for me. This one goes on the front. Hopefully you can see that. Okay. It just goes like that, I guess. Yeah. Those super long screws go back in. Thrilling, isn't it? Watching me turn screw. There we go. It's going to be end-to-end action like this, guys. Stick around here. There we go. Oh, hey, my phone's ringing. Oh, great timing, isn't it? What a thrill ride. Yeah, let me just pause this and then I'll answer my phone. Okay, I'm off the phone now. Thanks everybody for those of you that stuck it through. That was my father. So he's having issues with his little, he has a small 12-inch lathe. And the bearings are going, so it was, he's trying to figure out how to get that all repaired. It looks like he's getting it repaired. So where were we? Okay, so we got the front guy on and you guys were at the edge of your seats watching me turn screws. Get ready to get excited because I think we've got more screws to turn. This guy looks like it basically just sits on there, so that's cool. And I'm assuming I must swap the longer screws in instead of the short screw because then I gotta go through the original handles here, so let's see what happens here. Yeah. It's magic. It's like movie making magic. I suppose this is all for the guys that own Festool. You know, everything is about these boxes. For me, it's all pretty new. I guess there is no real other place to put a screw. There is this clip here. I don't even know which way it's supposed to face. I believe it's down. I think this is a hose holder, but so you can wrap the hose. I don't know if I'll ever actually have the hose wrapped, but I'm not doing this kind of as a moving tool for me. Like some guys would be using it, they'd actually be, you know, doing service calls and that kind of thing. I'll always be here with it, so I can't even get the screw. There we go. So I couldn't get the screw to even line up the hole. So there's a that's what she said joke in there, I'm sure somewhere. But there's this little housefly in here, and he was here last night. He's here today, and I don't know why he's so fascinated with me. Actually, there's two of them now, I'm realizing. I had worked the door open. I don't know if you can see this on my hand. This is my buddy. He loves to go on my hands and walk on my legs, and anywhere he can generally drive me insane. Yeah, and so that's been his joie de vie, as they say, is driving me insane. Okay, guys, so I know I say so a lot, but here we are. Open these clips up. I assume this must go on sideways. No, that way. Oh, here we go. I'm like, I'm sure there's a method to this madness that I'm missing. Maybe. No, I guess I did have it right. So these just sit on here. This really must be like something that sits down in there or what? I'm showing how rural I am, I guess, by not knowing this automatic. Well, look at that, it all goes. Were you in doubt? I wasn't in doubt. I knew I'd get it eventually. Fabulous. Fabulous. Look at this, guys. I feel like a real YouTube woodworker now. It's like I've made it. Isn't this awesome? My first expensive tool. My first box with the little thing on it. Marvel. Will it make me a better woodworker? Definitely not. But, you know, it'll probably look cool under my bench when people walk in. If it makes me sand faster, it's all good. All right, so I guess that's that. Pack up some garbage. My God, what? This shop looks like a bomb went off. There is just so much junk everywhere, it's gotten insane. Next cardboard box is the hose. Look at this beast. It's 12 feet. Yeah, so I've got this, let's use the word gargantuan hose. I don't know if that's more of a girth or a length, but it's more of a length issue here, not girth. 12-foot hose that goes to the sander, but there is a sheath for it. Now I'm just being ridiculous with the terms, but yeah, there is a prophylactic of sorts. We're going to call this the vacuum prophylactic. Oh, look at this, a zipper with a pull string. Look at that, marvelous. Oh, very nice. Yeah, so there's this vacuum prophylactic that has to go on as well. Now, I'll have to get the instructions, I think, because I'm guessing there's, I don't know if it's exact, yeah, I guess it's the same both ends, so we should be good either way. So I've got to match this with the power cable. So if there's any extra cable, I'd much prefer it back here than I would at the sander side. So I think probably the best thing to do is to hook this up to the sander and work my way back from there. This is actually pretty cool now. I mean, in my mind, you know, the gears start going. And I always think, well, where's the best place to put this? But with a 12-foot hose, I'd almost prefer it high up, like, rather than on the ground. Like, I'd rather, almost like my cheap my cheap sanding system here. So if you can see right now, I've got basically my sander, but I've got it hosed going actually to my dust collection. But the one thing I like about it is that generally it's above the work. So you don't have a hose kind of tripping. You're not always like, you know, moving it off the ground so it's not at your feet. I really kind of like that. So I may try to incorporate that if I'm trying to like gear turn here as I'm filming, which is probably the best, not the best way to do it. But maybe I could actually mount this over on the wall or something out of the way and do the same thing as put the hose above. That may actually be the best way, but I think for now we'll try to keep it a little more simple. I guess the good thing of it being down like this too is I can actually use it on different tools if it ever came to it, but where it's a vacuum bag system, I'm probably going to try to stick to sanding for this guy. Let's get the sander out and see how this all goes on. It's just compression fit? Yeah, just compression fit. And our power cord to match. I will say, you know, it's interesting, you know, playing in bands and even doing production for years, sound production. There's definitely a difference in power cables with expensive and cheap. I mean, you really can tell the difference. They used to call it cab tire. I don't know what the actual term was, but it's like a rubber that they use for power cables that are expensive. And it's really, even with a knife, it's hard to cut, and that gives you, you know, a good idea of how durable it's going to be. This feels like cab tire, which is great. It's like super durable, which, you know, gives you a pretty warm and fuzzy feeling about durability. Especially, you know, the money these sanders cost. You know, you wouldn't want it to be a cheap, like, tool you buy on Amazon for the lowest possible money kind of thing. Okay. So yeah, so everything basically on this gets wrapped up together. So you can see there's like a vacuum hose, there's the power cable, and then you basically put we're gonna call it the vacuum prophylactic because that kind of makes me laugh. You put that over the whole thing. So I guess I've got to unzip the entirety of this to be able to start, because I'm not gonna try to fish it all through. Not sure how clean this will stay. Well, maybe I actually have to fish it through the end. There's actually an elastic on this side, so I guess I got ahead of myself here and got everything hooked up prematurely. Okay, how hard is this going to be to get off is the question. Not too bad. Okay. All right. So we'll fish these guys through. Maybe do the vacuum hose first. Ooh, that's really narrow. Oh no, that has to be the vacuum side because the other side is actually the vacuum end's bigger. Unless I unscrewed it, I suppose, but maybe we'll look that. Maybe I better check that and see if there's something in here on that because I don't want to do it wrong and have to undo it and do it back. Let me just take a quick look at these explanations and then we'll come right back. And I also have to answer a message that just came in for delivery of a custom job. Hang on. Holy, all right, I'm back. Man, I've been having a hard time getting the time to do this. Yeah, so in the little break I took, I actually delivered a cutting board that was about a 25-minute drive away. So it took me a few minutes here to get it. But, you know, I find once I have a project done, I usually want to deliver it as quickly as I can because in my paranoid mind, I'm always like, you know, you're going to end up dropping it and you've already sent photos and you've promised it. So the sooner it's out of my hands, the happier I am. And the sooner you get paid, right? Yeah, so back to the prophylactic. So we've got the hose through and the cable through because this end does not open up all the way. So hopefully I can do this without making a real mess of everything, but we're gonna see here. Try to get everything together in a reasonably neat fashion. These guys on. There we go. probably better off to have the zipper up, I would think. I wouldn't want it to be facing down and maybe rub on stuff that I'm working on, but I hate as silly as it is, I put stuff on the floor because I don't want it to get dirty, but I think in this case I don't really have a choice but to throw some of this down so I get some more room. I don't know how I dare take this, but let's see. All right. I'm going to tug the zipper and pulling it backwards at the same time. Gripping television, or home video, I guess at this point. All right, let's just try to get it zipped up here, and I'll screw around with this again in a minute. There doesn't seem to be like anything that's necessarily like tacky at the top that'll actually hold that in place, so I think I'm going to have to. This is where you almost could use a second set of hands to kind of grip it while you're putting it together, but. There, I got a few lengths of zipper. Let's see if I can get this up now. There's way too many jokes, prophylactic jokes here now that I realize that I've started down this path of getting things up and so on, so I've created my own monster, which is me. Alright, that should be good for now. Hopefully that's in a spot where it's not going to tug backwards all the time, and we'll just keep working our way down. I guess, no matter what happens, it's going to get dirty, so it's tough when you have, it's so rare you get new tools, you're like, oh, I want everything to stay clean, but it's sadly not a reality working in a shop that anything I own will stay clean. I actually did not find any instructions for this, so I don't think there's anything complicated about it, so I'm hoping, put the hose in and zip it up. That's the hose and the power, I guess, and zip it up, I think, is the only thing going on, so I'm hoping that means there's not much I can screw up. Although we are getting a little tangly here, but we'll work our way through. What's your bet? What's the over under on me getting to the end and realizing that I've done it wrong? High, probably. We'll see. Oh, zipper splitting. Great. There, I think I got it back on track. Well, it definitely doesn't go all the way to the end, so I don't know if I should. Well, I was going to say, which end should it be tighter on, but I think I'd rather it's protected up closer to the work. Wouldn't that make more sense? Does that make sense to people out there? Like, you'd want the protection side of it, not at the vacuum, because, who cares if the vacuum has a little bit of exposed. You'd want the protection over the surfaces. Okay, so vacuum in, plug in. I have seen shots of this, and there is a European version where they actually have the European plugs. Okay. I'm happy that this little housefly is still, here, part of the team. Sorry about hitting that tripod, making that jiggle. All right, so here we go. All in. I'm gonna put a piece of sandpaper on that. Piece of 120 grit. I'd like to try. So here's the box of sandpaper look like. I've taken one in just to show my wife, and now I'm going to get some 80 grit here somewhere. There we go. Put a piece of 80 grit on, because once I get this all set up, I'd actually like to run it across some rough lumber. I'm trying to think of like ways to test it, and sanding stuff that's already kind of plain smooth isn't a big test. So we'll do a rough lumber test, which to me would be more of a true test. Let's get this piece of foam here. All right. Fancy. Okay, so let's get this guy down on the floor, out of the way. I dare lift it from that. All right, with the just turned the switch, and apparently I turned it the wrong way, because what I ended up doing was turn the vacuum on. So now I've got it set so it should come on with the sander. We're gonna test that theory obviously here in a moment. Move some of this stuff out of the way to repack all this junk. My God, sorry about the mess, guys. Everything is a train wreck in here right now. Okay, some rough wood. All right, I got some rough birch. Try to get this close up so you can see with the lines on it. So this is basically a birch tree that actually fell down in my yard. A buddy, local fellow here, David, he has a sawmill at his house, so he mills up lumber for me when I get it. There were definitely some lessons learned on this birch. I put it in some racks on my wall, and I probably should have strapped it against itself, but this stuff twisted like crazy. So now it's become a bit of a challenge in figuring out what I'm going to do with it, because I can't really make charcuterie boards because everything's got kind of a wow to it. There's a few that were okay. I made some serving trays out of some of the stuff. I basically now started to go through and try to find the straightest pieces. Yeah, so I'm going to figure it out. Worst case, I think I'm going to plane it all down maybe 3/8 of an inch or less. I'll put one side with the plunge saw. I'll get a square side, cut it into boards on the table saw, and then I'll actually put it in the CNC, and I think making Christmas ornaments or something with it. I mean, it's good wood. I've paid to have it sawn up. I really hate the idea of just chucking it, or cutting it into small pieces for someone to burn. So I'm determined to find a use for it. My stubbornness kind of gets the best of me in these situations. Okay, so holy smokes, guys, we're finally gonna test this out. So yeah, Habernet. Oh, wait, oh, yeah, turn it on, Craig. There you go. Okay, so I just touched it. Was that 10 seconds after the fact, probably? Let's give her a whirl. Alright, crank her up full for the time being. At least try full blast. Suction's pretty cool. I can actually, there's quite a bit, like you can feel it come through the sandpaper, which is nice. Clean sandpaper, no dust. That's pretty impressive, I will say. Hopefully I get this close enough if you can see it, but you can see where I have sanded compared to where I haven't. Honestly, it's like right out of the planer, except that it's just sanding. Wow, that's actually really impressive. Those are pretty deep cuts from the bandsaw blade, and then drying has made this thing curl like crazy. Very impressive. It's probably louder than I would have thought, if I'm being honest. Like just the volume of the sander, but I guess moving 6 inches, it's gonna have some volume. Vacuum's pretty good, it's not super noisy. The vacuum's actually quite quiet. Yeah, the sander is probably, well, let's try them out here. It's definitely louder. No, I haven't hooked this up. There's actually a phone app if you can imagine what a world we live in, eh? So there's actually a Mirka app, and you can add a tool, and it's supposed to find nearby devices. So I'm not sure, I should probably look at the manual and see if I can, well, it says sander. Power's on. Connect the power cable again. Okay. Man, it's not easy with the hose in the way, but. Okay. Press and hold the RPM button while switching the power on. Next. Left LED, okay, so there it is. Deros. Oh, neat. So this actually shows, hopefully I can get this so you can see, this shows usage, so current speed, current vibration, and total usage time, which is pretty sweet. So again, hopefully you can see this. I mean, it's the worst. So high tech here, holding a phone up to the camera. There's settings. You can have always off, Bluetooth mode. Don't care about that. And the details of the actual sander, so it has, you know, basically the model Deros 650X CV, 150 millimeter, vacuum orbit 5.0, serial number, firmware, usage. So let's get the vacuum hook back up here. I think this might be a screw on here. I'm like tugging it off for all I'm worth, but showing my immense patience. Up here, as you can see. So the vibration's interesting. So I don't know. I'll have to reduce some reading, but I think you can actually go in and do some adjustment. Underneath the pad here, take the safety here, the pad saver off. Oops. Turn the power off here. So I won't keep accidentally turning it on. Yeah, I think there's some adjustments, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to check out the adjustments you can make and try to get that vibration as low as I can get it. That's one of the main reasons I got this, was to try to help with the ghost hand you get after you've been sanding for hours on end. I won't make you sit through that as I try to figure out how to do it, but I'll have to read the manual and see. So let me see if I can adjust this, and I'll come back. Hi guys, I have returned. So you know, being a typical guy doing this stuff, you know, play around and then read the manual after. So I opened the manual up, and it basically says if you're using a pad saver, which I am, they actually have to go in and do a change. So there's basically the options are, when you take the pad off, there's actually this counterweight inside. I'm going to move it a little closer so you can see. And so this is how it arrives at the factory. So there's basically an A, B, and C slot. I'm going to turn that straight up so you can see. And there's basically no bolt in A, is how it works. So this is the way it would be configured, and then they give you the option for the pad saver, you actually can change. So the standard user interface is recommended the speed set to maximum 7,000 RPM. So that, I guess, makes sense. So pad there's no harm in that. So it actually comes with the little screws here. Just going to open this guy up. Comes with the screw, the little hex headed bolt, and the Allen key that needs. So let's try her out and see if what kind of a difference it makes. Boop, boop, boop. It's actually kind of surprising how long it is, the volt, but it's only a counterweight. Notice that housefly is really into my leg hair. Who knew? So awesome. Okay. Okay, that on. Oops. Pad saver now. The way I was told was there's 2 dots on the top. Pad saver has 3 dots on the top, and so you can basically line up those 2 dots and everything else will line up. So let's see if that is correct. One of the other things it says if you know, for excessive vibration is that your pad may not be centered, which I never really think about, you know, like, get so used to just kind of slapping things together and going, you know. I'm not as civilized as some, I guess. All right, so sandpaper's on again. Power. Let's see. Oh wow, big difference. Who would have thought? How crazy is that? So that's at 8,000 RPM, still under normal. Let's just try a full blast. Okay. Yeah, I started getting the caution and alarm levels there. However, 8,000 RPM going normal. That's a pretty good speed. Try it again, something here and see. Hi, I guess there was a YouTube video my son wanted to show me a little YouTube clip. Yeah, so yeah, I'm very impressed. That makes a big difference. If I still go full blast, there's a lot of vibration, but I mean, compared to the other sander, I guess that's kind of the way it is. I'm assuming it's never going to be vibration free. It's pretty livable the way it is. It's actually, surprisingly, I can feel the heat. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes long term, you know, and especially if you're doing a lot of boards. I even think of balance. It's surprisingly, yeah, I guess you can see that. It actually sits up pretty well, like it doesn't tip off, which is pretty sweet. I don't know how it would be if I had the hose, you know, the practicality of having from above is, you know, how comfortable it's going to be to use. Because I have to, you know, I'd have to run a cable down to do it. So I don't know how that would be with the hose behind it. It'd have to be pretty precise, I think, so it wouldn't be always in the way. Oh, turn that power switch off, that'll stop doing that. There we go. Oh, my zipper split too. That's not good. I'll have to go backwards and undo that. Yeah, that's pretty annoying with that zipper. I hope it's not the same place it did it before, but it could be a problem. So, in worst case, I guess I won't be able to use this cover, but let's unzip here and see if I can fix that. I think it's the cord pushing against it when it bends. It's probably my mistake. I should make sure the cord is in behind it and not sitting up against the zipper. So, oh boy, may not be able to get done. All right, we got it. Yeah, I'll have to swap that cord in the back so there's less pressure on it, I guess. Anywho, yeah, yeah, pretty impressive overall. Like I say, I've got to, you know, some real work with it, I guess, is going to be the next thing to see. How this thing does long term is going to always be the challenge. God, I hope it does well. This is, without a doubt, the biggest investment I've made in a single tool yet. So I get it. You know, when you see, you know, people being excited about that, like for me, this is a pretty big deal. I mean, I have a very small shop, as you can tell. For something that doesn't like cut wood and this is really just smoothing, it's a huge investment for me. So I really do hope it pays off, because it's not going to make anything new. Like it's not creating a new product that I couldn't do before. Like that's the only thing with going with like a CNC or even a lathe, is you're basically adding something that you once couldn't do that now you can do. So you're really expanding what you can offer, you're expanding, you know, your possibilities. This is just doing something I've always done, but doing it hopefully better and hopefully quicker. But really only I'll know that for sure is time. I'm gonna have to, you know, a few weeks in, I'm sure I'll start to go, okay, this is a lot better. Now the guys I've talked to that own these, which, you know, I didn't just come across this on my own. I, you know, talked to other guys in the business, did a lot of research online, obviously. Like, I'm assuming if you're watching this video, it's probably the same thing for you. But the guys that I spoke to in person meant more, I guess, because you never really know sometimes with YouTube if they've gotten a discount for talking about it or whatever. I can promise you that at this point, I get nothing for free, and no discounts. I've, you know, paid hard sweat and cash for everything I have in the shop, except for my small drill press, which belongs to my drummer Mo, who had no place to put it, so he gave it to me to use until, you know, he needed it back. That's a little tiny 8-inch drill press. That's the only tool in here, I guess, that I didn't get through blood, sweat, and money. But I do need a bigger drill press, so eventually I guess I will be going back to him. Anywho, yeah, so that's, I mean, what can I say? I guess it's hard to give a rating. I wanted to do an unboxing so I can actually start using this. I don't have a lot to work on right at this moment because I'm getting basically ready for another show in a day. So my focus is getting stuff packed up and getting ready to basically go and do that. So yeah, so for me is a few more shows. I'd love to know what you guys would like to see content on. If I mean, obviously I know I don't have a lot of followers here. But if there's something you want to talk or want to hear more about, man, just, yeah, drop a comment. I'm more than happy to delve into anything. You know, obviously I'd like to talk about things that are interesting to you as well as to me. So if there's something you want to know more about, let's talk it out. I'd still like to do a better video probably on the lathe at some point, on my CraftX lathe, and a few other things like that. But you know, the basics of most of my tools I've covered at this point, I believe. But if there's something you want to hear more about, let's do that. I mean, I was thinking we're doing some videos about kind of what sells and what doesn't sell, those sort of things. I don't know if I should do too many of those videos. I mean, you almost, there's part of you that doesn't want to, like, well, should I be helping everyone that's in the same business I am locally basically get my sales? I don't know. Sometimes it can feel bad because I want to help people out, but at the same time, it is a little frustrating when you go to a show and people are now selling the same things that you're selling, and you saw them take photos of your stuff at the show, you know, 2 or 3 months ahead of time, or last time you were at a show. That part of this business I find a little frustrating. I get it that, you know, there's only so many things you can do, and obviously we're not talking about cutting boards, but when you have, you know, kind of your own ideas and you try to do things different, but then, you know, the same guy that you were, you know, set up near is now all of a sudden selling the same thing, that gets a bit frustrating. I don't think there's really anything you can do about it. It's, you know, coming from the world of bands, that stuff happens, right? You know, some of it's inspiration, some of it's, you know, plagiarizing or whatever it is, but it is what it is. So, oh, this fly's landing on my hat now. Anyway, I hope you guys are all, you know, staying cool. It's pretty hot in the shop today. But I hope you guys are trying to, you know, stay out of the hot sun, and getting in your shop and get some stuff done. I'm sure, like a lot of you, I'm dying for fall. I can't wait for it to be cooled off, and I can't wait for all these bugs to die. I hope a gruesome death. I hope all these flies have a terrible, terrible, terrible existence. And then we can get into fall where there's no mosquitoes anymore, which, you know, living out in the country is a pretty big thing. Yeah, so anyway, thanks for checking out the channel, guys. At the end of the day, I would recommend this Mirka sander to anybody, but only really if you're doing the kind of stuff where, like, if you're sanding every day like I am at this point, I think this is a pretty sound investment. It really is an everyday thing for me now. Like, there's not a day that I don't sand. So you start to really get noticing all the vibration, all those sort of things. So I'm hoping this will help a lot. The dust, obviously, my wife's super happy about having, for me getting a HEPA system, because she gets quite concerned about just the sheer amount of dust that I always seem to be ingesting and inhaling. So I'm hoping this helps that a lot too. Yeah, so anyway, thanks for checking out the channel. I hope you guys are all staying safe and having a good time out in the wood shops. And hopefully we'll see you around sometime. Thanks again for checking out the channel. If you like what you see, please subscribe, like whatever, you know, like the page, like the video. And yeah, if you want to see a video on something, leave a comment and I'll do my best as fall comes here. Hopefully I'll get a little more time there. I've got a few shows coming up, but you know, try to squeeze some stuff in. And yeah, take care of yourselves. Thanks for stopping by.